Next in the Shark Tank is Cody Turner with Holy Grail Guitars.
Hi, I'm going to be the future owner of Holy Grail Guitars, and yeah, my name is Cody Turner. I'm planning on starting a guitar dealership and custom shop clinic. I have a lot of knowledge being that I was in a band called Hollow Amongst Lusitania. It's got like 6 members, 3 guitars, so a lot of our work is probably more advanced. And I have custom luthier work, not to mention my own custom line of guitars, which I'll mention down here. I have 47 major guitar endorsements under my belt from companies like Mayonis, Bernie Rico Jr., Cody, Ibanez, Music Man, and many others. Plus I play drums. I play drums like Pearl Truth and Tama, Tama being my favorite, and also one of the other instruments I will be, I'll be dealing now. I have a pretty good contract with Tama Jones. Plus I have my own custom line, like I mentioned, Skyblade Custom Guitars. Not to mention I will be selling tickets for shows at the Lost Horizon, which is local in East Syracuse. I don't know, I think I can only see one person who knows what I'm talking about, one of the judges listen.
I think we all did that.
Yeah. A mission statement, I want to sell Mayo's guitars and Tama drums, being that they're my favorite instruments, apart from the one that I've already created. That one's pretty good too, but it's not my favorite. I'm not that good. But anyway, my business will target metal guitars, enthusiasts, and hardcore musicians. Not a lot of people think about metal guitars like most people would listen to pop. So this is kind of not really geared towards a lot of people in America, but more in foreign countries too. It's not up here as you can see, but it is of it's kind of importance in many foreign countries. I believe the following of hardcore music will make up most of the youth of 13 and 20, ages 13 and 22. That would be the followers of hardcore, because a lot of bands that start out as youth, sort of around Memphis, Mayfire, and Of Mice and Men, bands that I don't particularly listen to all the time, they'll be geared towards this audience. Plus, it's because they play youth shows. Also, this age group contributes greatly to the population of our location, starting out in Syracuse. A lot of youth are in Syracuse. Probably, I don't know, around the entire citizens of Central Syracuse, like actual Syracuse, about 300,000. So, if you think about all the surrounding areas, you have a pretty good target base. Plus, we work with other musician dealer stores that do instrument sales, like orchestral equipment, DJ equipment, recording equipment. One store I can think of offhand is Music Store on James Street. Favorite place I go to. This is where I started when I bought my first instrument. Well, not my first instrument, but the one that I actually purchased with my own money. But yeah, they're a pretty good store, and they have pretty good, decent endorsements for people who like classic guitar. My timeline, I plan on finding a location 3 months before grand opening. A month after the location is found, I will hire employees, which is not much of a problem, as many people in the area are on waiting list for employment at Guitar Center. Guitar Center is a very, 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 very big company across the entire United States, and probably in other countries, not that I would know. But most people, when they go for guitars, they can find decent deals and used guitars there. So, of course, on a waiting list with so many people who actually are musicians and have their own bands, to actually do that, it's kind of be a lot easier for them to start here. So when my business actually builds up, it'll probably be of just as much value as Guitar Center. I also, like I said, I am targeting metal and hardcore enthusiasts. So they're likely to respond to my employment because it's a just starting business, so this is where they can kind of get that feel, since they probably have not worked at Guitar Center. Being that I'm also in a band, they would likely work for me because this is a great experience for a musician in training. I think a lot of things about musicians and metalcore music, it's kind of a community-based thing. So if we think about most of the bands, I have many different connections and friendships with other members from bands, and I've learned stuff from them. So you could imagine somebody who was in a just on the ropes band who just came out. They're trying to learn new things about what I've been through. I've actually had the experience, whereas most people don't actually have that. And I also would like to start 2 weeks prior to advertise my business. This would probably be, well, actually, it could be in any source, because because if I actually can find employees, I mean, I would probably find suggestions from my own employees. I'd rather like start out with getting their suggestions on how this would work too. So that's kind of a good thing because now they feel like they can put some input in how they want to work. Strategies. The best way I believe I could have permanent customers is by hosting advertising giveaways for the newest, hottest gear in our catalog quadri-monthly. I know that doesn't sound like a real term, but it's basically every 4 months, which is pretty good because a lot of new like equipment comes out, and a lot of this is basically the general amount of time between different like sweepstakes and stuff between actual guitar companies. I'd have occasional free master lessons for recurring customers. You see this on YouTube all the time if you're a metal enthusiast. It actually does grab a lot of attention because actual artists who people really find like really great, they actually can not personally have the time with you up front, but it's almost like they can communicate with you through a lesson without actually having to meet. Hosting small concerts and festivals. This is good because festivals like the Warped Tour, that's very important to people of hardcore and metal music. This is where most of them go in concerts like these. Not to mention tours in other countries, depending on your record label. I would also have live audience studio recordings. This is a great idea because people can see what you can put to the test with these instruments. There's this guitar, they're like a magazine company called Premier Guitar. They do this all the time. Incentives for a good work ethic would be bringing in good food every day for my workers. It's almost like building a friendship. You ever think of any family business that's lasted more than 50 to 100 years? I mean, they know each other. They do exactly everything you'd expect a friend and a family member would do. So starting this kind of relationship in and out of work, not to kind of get too much out of work, but it builds a bond between you that you can't break just as easily as having some employee come in and not feel comfortable. Having a gaming room, you find this in all types of stores. Even tattoo shops, where a lot of people know, like, you find that in places like that, but not many companies actually have that, so that'd just be a personal thing. Having employee outings and team building events, like going to pubs and restaurants, maybe not so much pubs, you don't want people drinking. Skateboarding, roller skating, I don't really like these, but I like BMX parks, which is a compilation of all of those. Go-karting tracks, golfing, wall climbing, and obstacle courses, which I have actually been to, not of team building exercises, but they are very entertaining, and they kind of do build teamwork with your friends and stuff. I am sure these methods will work. I have an amazing business just waiting to spread different locations nationwide. Let's see. Anticipated expenses. Ownership of building stores is, I think, the building that I'm starting with, every 5 years I would have to pay $4,500. So that comes up to around, what, 20, screw it, I don't even know, like $22,500. But storage racks, showcases, and all this stuff would cost around $25,000 because I don't want just some old crappy racks that you've seen in other stores just bricked out and put in my store. Everything has to be fresh. Because I am the dealership of Tom, I am a dealer of Tom and Mayonis. Plus, I have my own brand of Skyblade, so I can make decisions for what I would like to do with my own company. I don't need any money to provide for the instruments because that will already be paid as the business progresses. There is no initial payment. As soon as guitars start selling, this is what you see. Renovation and sign costs will come to about $15,000 due to my advanced design and color scheme preferences for the first building. So I want to actually take time and make the building look as colorful as possible. Because nobody wants to walk into a bland store with just old, crappy stuff. Especially a guitar store. My logo, Holy Grail Guitars with the double line cut through. I'm not exactly sure why I liked Holy Grail. Pertaining to religion maybe, but not so much that I know more about the Holy Grail. But it was just kind of it seems like a very catchy logo. My business card. Yeah, this one's kind of hard. I'm not very good at doing business cards, but here's one.
Awesome.
Here you go.
Thank you, sir.
Here you go. Thank you. My business business card, it says Holy Grail Guitars. You can see I'm the owner, the founder of the business, the owner and representative of it. This is my new phone number. I just bought a new phone, my own cell phone, so people can contact me personally. And there will be another number if this business actually does go into effect. Number is 315-726-4850. Address would be 1247 Fort Hayes Road in Syracuse, New York, 13206 to 4587. You can see my website and hgspot@gmail.com. Gmail being like an offshoot and an email base of Google. It's a pretty good idea. This is my ad. Hey guys, this is Cody from Hollow amongst Lusitania. I just want to let you know I'm coming out with a new guitar shop and music store in your area. Holy Grail Guitars, some of the greatest models and some of the hottest brands in the market from Bayon's Guitars and Tama Drums. Just want to let you know you won't have to go through any more hassles and policy change-ups with Guitar Center, no more waiting online with Sweetwater Guitars, so no limited stock. We're bringing all this stuff. And in fact, I think I have my own custom line, Skyblade's coming out. Something new to introduce, has not been released yet. This is new for you guys starting here. I just want to let you know that when you come to see me, all your problems with your guitars and everything will be taken care of. We'll take care of it real good at Holy Grail Guitars. So stop by and see it in person. Oh, no. Alright, so you saw my ad. For summary, if you find that my business is a great investment, yeah. Well, I find that my business is a great investment personally. You have to have confidence in your own business, of course. Or else where's it going to go? It's just going to go into a pile of crap. I hope that you will play a key part in the process. This business means a lot to me, and I find the same goes for my future customers. Yeah, with your assistance and your blessing, I would like you to guide me into the world of business, waiting for me on the other side. Would you be my leader into the passion, world of business, owning, and ultimately entrepreneurship?
All right, Sharks, what do you think?
Cody, great presentation, great presentation. Heavy metal, not Mrs. B's, but Lost Horizons 30 years ago maybe. But now, I don't know what percentage I would own if I gave you my money. How much do you?
Well, I think I would start at about maybe 20-25%.
20-25. And again, you got a great radio voice, fantastic presentation, but at this time code, I think Mrs. Bannock has to be up. The heavy metal is not for me,
All right, thank you anyway.
but great job.
Cody, that was a really good presentation. You know, I'm a big fan of heavy metal. I think I have one concern with that though. Is there enough profit
Yes.
in that population? I know you said you're looking at 13 to 22-year-olds, and if you look at children that young, they can't even afford their own guitars. It would be the parents that would be going out and buying them
Yeah.
for them.
That said, I'm sure I probably didn't mention this, but I did also mention metal, which usually is more apparent in people who actually venture into adulthood. People start with hardcore, but they
Right.
venture into adulthood because it actually becomes more of a passion than just something you go through as a phase. So yeah, it wouldn't just be them. But
Right. So can I stop you right there?
Go ahead.
For this business, then, are we willing to open the store up and appeal to the older demographic as well?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're not just focusing on one age group, one type of guitarist. I want to make sure we're addressing classical, blues, all that older demographic that might.
Yeah, that would be
Enjoy.
involved. I'm just
Okay.
saying the main target is that. But I mean, if you think about any like guitar shop, they have all different types of ranges. But chances are you're just gonna find Strats and Les Pauls there. Same thing, just the other way around.
Absolutely. All right. I like that answer. For that, I am, and that was my one concern.
All right, thank you.
I loved the presentation. I loved so much about it. I couldn't even take the but there's so many notes I wanted to write down for you, so you did an excellent job. So you would do all sorts of different guitars, correct?
Yes.
So if
Usually
I brought my 12-year-old son in and said, here you go, I need to teach him, he wants to play, Metallica, could you sit down and teach him the ropes?
Yes,
Yes, so you're willing to advertise to the school ages also?
yes.
So, I know there's a huge amount of talent shows out there for all the different high schools, so that may be something you want to, pinpoint down and maybe go to those and
Yeah.
maybe hand out business cards to all those bands, that would be great. So what kind of heavy metal, name me some bands that, well, besides Metallica, I'm aging myself, that I might be familiar with, like how hardcore are we going? Like-
Well, pretty much metal, it's all linked in together. If
Okay.
every kind of music style, if you think about it, it's not even really a classified thing because different artists, they listen to different things over different periods of their life. Like, I could be listening to R&B, I could be listening to R&B as a child and sing gospel, and then venture into metal, hardcore as a teenager, then metal, and then once I finally become an artist and develop myself, I could have ranges from all of these. And in fact, there's a type of metal called progressive metal. It sounds kind of heavy, but it contains every single one because it's more of an abstract art. So if you've ever heard any music with like offbeat rhythms like that, dun, 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 stuff like that, it adds all stuff to this. This is his favorite, I know this personally. Animals as Leaders is a great example of that. I personally know them. But yeah, they're a great example because they use all different types of different music. It's not just, if you want to learn something, I mean, that's how most of the musicians in this business are. They have different ranges.
So you would, make guitars for like, I know Fish personally, the band.
Yeah, that's
I
kind of
know-
a good example.
I know them personally,
That's
so
some of the
we
influence.
definitely, with my connections, could advertise to them and get the word out there, and K-Rock, things like that, I have connections with K-Rock. And, I love the word passion, and I love, your team building, about your team, and about your employees, and how you wanna take care of them, cause that is huge, you hit it, the nail right on the head with that, that's just, I know, someone personally from, that works for Xbox, works for Designs COD, and that's exactly how, they work. They have cubicles and they play all day and they have food brought in, and so I don't know where you got your information, but, you hit it. So yes, for all of this, I am definitely in and, ready to battle on percentage.
We'll talk percentage after,
Okay.
maybe we.
Yeah,
All right.
split
because
deal.
they can
That'd be
always be
awesome.
adjusted.
I'm very interested.
He used his knowledge and my connections.
Yeah.
There you go.
That'd be perfect.
Awesome.